Kanavi being the main target for Weibo so far as well, because the Lilia ban joins it up. The MF has been starting to slink up a little bit. That is the final ban by Weibo.
So, with both of the primary AD carry mids left up and available, Yagao will snap up that Tristana. I think Yagao has been on incredible form on the AD carry mid, so locking this in for him makes a lot of sense. On the other side, though, we did say Tarzan has been going back towards more of these initiators. They have a strong snowball-like bot lane with the Kalista potential locked in already. Tarzan would likely path down towards there and secure bot side some extra pressure from the jungle.
And I'm just going to take a minute and say we're so lucky to get to see this jungle matchup again. Tarzan not having played in spring, but this is one of my tried and true favorites. I think both these guys think really interestingly about how jungle goes early in the pathing especially. I really want to see what they're going to take into each other now that Tarzan has played his card of the Sejuani. It is the Ezreal locked in already by JDG, so they'll have the double marksman comp here. AP jungler expected.
I hadn't even thought about this. This is the first time that we see this matchup since the finals last year. The Game 5 JDG LNG where Tarzan was against Kanavi in that jungle matchup. It is going to be the fast clearing Zyra versus, of course, the tankier Sejuani. Sejuani won't be able to keep up in terms of clear speed, but can impact the game a little earlier, and also typically has better early game options because Zyra is kind of leashed to her plant spawning. She wants to get that first clear off. Are you going to be able to do that, though, when you're against the Kalista Renata on the other side? Look, Ezreal is a safe laner. No one is a safe laner versus Kalista Renata. You're going to expect that Tarzan is either going to go into the enemy jungle to mess with what Kanavi's doing with the plant spawns, or is going to immediately run towards bot side. Kanavi needs to be on his A game to make sure this bot lane doesn't get snowballed out of control with the help of Tarzan.
And Crisp has been a bit of a master of Renata since she came out. One of the first ones to really use the kind of flash ult combo as well, proactively at least. Now, the hyper focus on top side here, maybe rightfully so, as Shears had some fun up in that top side, but Breathe wanted to be a little bit stable up there. We do get the Cassante Renekton ban followed by the Jax.
So the thing is, if we've got this huge bot side pressure, you're expecting top lane to be left alone in a 1v1. That is perfect for both of these top laners. Shit, fantastic individual laner. Breathe, one of the very best to do it in the LPL, though. I think he's had a fantastic laning phase if you specifically look towards that. So the fact that you're batting out some of the better kind of like do-it-yourself champions that are very self-sufficient, the Cassante, Renekton, Jax, they just tend to sit on an island there, maybe opens up an option for Breathe to get counterpicked towards that top side on R5 and get himself a really good matchup. Of course, you're going to have the known matchup in mid lane, Xiaohu likely going towards that Corki. That means that Breathe very happy to last pick.
I was wondering if maybe we get the Jace, but it is just going to be the Corki lock in there to answer. Tried and true matchup we've seen so far, Corki and Tristana. But honestly, both guys getting their primo comfort picks. Obviously, most played in group stage by Yagawa's Trist, and most played by Xiaohu in group stage was Corki, at least. I wonder now, though, what this top lane is going to look like, because I think there needs to be a lot of setup for JDG. And I think there needs to be a lot of follow-up for Tarzan from Breeze. So the Skarner is the pickup for JDG so far.
It is, but the problem with blind picking Skarner right now is that I feel like Breathe is going to look in some like a Twisted Fate run, Mordekaiser, you name it. That is going to be a very difficult matchup to maintain. Looking to see what the last support will be. If you are looking to contend in laning phase, Karma might just save your early pressure, and that is one of the big things we are worried about. Kalista Renata, no one's really safe about that against that. I don't even mind this Karma, even though it leaves you at a very large lack of engage. This could be a problem in terms of the team fights later, but if it helps you survive against the Kalista Renata, it might just be worth it all the same. And as we said on the other side, Breathe, very much likely locking in something that can just dunk on the Skarner in lane now.
The other thing I see here is it's a lot of onus on Sheer to be the engage, it feels like, for JDG. The Mordekaiser is going to be locked in as they realize they really only have that one frontliner. We could just take him out of the game, and maybe that makes the difference here.
I think also the other thing too, if you logged into Twisted Fate, Missing's probably going towards the first item, Mikhail's, and then you don't get to use your gold card that easily, even if you pull the ult. So I think this is a good adaptation. You can't QSS out of the Mordekaiser ult anymore. You can't stop someone from going into that. Breathe, going to get a winning matchup versus Sheer on the top side, especially since the Skarner nerfs as well. And I think Weibo, they have well, we'll see how the bot lane goes. Kalista Renata can still explode the Azrael Karma, even though it's a famously powerful bot lane. Mid lane's a bit of a wash. Tarzan will be clearing slower than Kanavi, but can impact the game earlier, and that might just flip the lanes into a winning game state. I like this draft coming out of Weibo. I feel like it's got a lot of lane dominance and a lot of ability to snowball through anywhere on the map. This is a lot on Kanavi to make sure that he can bail out his lanes.
I think this jungle matchup is going to deliver exactly what we want it to. I think Tarzan's going to have a lot of presence and pressure if he can find the right tempo into Kanavi. But Kanavi has been one that has just strangleholded the jungle time and time again. And he will have the decision-making power when they want to burn objectives on the Zyra. General Kanavi versus my new age jungle king in Tarzan. This one's one I've been waiting for. And I'm very excited to see how these two guys pick apart the early pathings in this game number 1. But in Beijing, it is JDG's home arena. It has been a split of revenge, nay, maybe dominance by JDG. And Weibo, question marks abound. We don't know what version of this team we're going to get. They barely slinked in to Group Ascend. But here we go, ascending into Group 1 and Game 1. Of this second best of 3. Hey, we get started with some Gyos this time. Let's go. He's woken up in Beijing. I like to see it.
One thing, there was a really cool interview by Ruler after the stadium for JDG was kind of unveiled and they started playing it. Ruler was saying that it feels like you're playing Worlds every day when you're playing in that venue because it holds, what, 2,500 people? It holds a lot of people. It holds multiple thousand people, which is a lot for regular season games. And when you've got teams like Weibo, which have a lot of famous players on them, JDG, which of course been such a notable team within the LPL for a while now, then yeah, you do get yourself a decent turnout there as well. So JDG, one thing which I want to note very interestingly here is that JDG have, of course, a lot of lanes which are potentially going to be under threat. Yagao has gone for the press the attack and not the fleet footwork. If you're going for the press the attack in this matchup, you want to be taking hard trades instead of looking to get that wave push and keeping yourself topped up with the fleet footwork. If Yagao does get someone into his lane early, like Tarzan, or maybe, well, Chris might find it hard to roam in this kind of lane, that could potentially flip the mid lane matchup. And now our eyes are on the bot lane to see if anything will start off there. We have the Kalista run up, we have the Azrael Karma, very powerful lanes which we were focusing a lot on in draft.
Yeah, I mean, JDG going for the full poke central down there as well. I want to talk about one more room before we get too far into it as well. What do you feel about the phase rush for Tarzan on Sejuani?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense when you're going into big ranged characters when you need to get in or get out. It's very hard to stick to targets. The Aftershock not necessarily going to get you the most value. So we'll have to see whether he can use that to great value. Xiaohu just walking up and taking a really hard trade against Yagao.
Yeah, he'll pop those potions, try to immediately heal back a little bit of that. This is kind of the knife's edge that we expect between these two mid laners as well. But mid priority is oh so important when you're playing around these two junglers.
Well, particularly because Xiaohu now has fleet footwork and Yagao doesn't. He's already used the pot. Xiaohu has fleet footwork and the biscuits and also took a decent trade there. I think that now Xiaohu's going to get himself a decent amount of control of this lane up until Yagao gets himself a teleport back into it. So keep watching and see where that wave has been pinged about. Yagao has the XP for advantage for now, so we'll at least get that push. But still, not bad from Xiaohu. Xiaohu, a player which has been under a lot of fire for his group stage. And let's be honest, a lot of fire for the last year. I think his last series against IG was fantastic. I think he walked away with some really powerful games at that point. We do now see bot lane. Ezreal Karma gets the priority. Kalista Renata has kill pressure. Kanavi not able to steal something over the wall, but he's on bot side now to make sure that his bot lane can continue the push and make sure that Kalista Renata don't get an all-in angle where they can flip this lane.
Yeah, I mean, they've gotten push in mid and bot. It enables Kanavi to move forward anywhere he pleases. Will be spotted out, though, on his way out. Tarzan going to finish his clearing, though. Scuttle Crab will be secured by JDG on the bottom side of the map, at least. And back has to be completed by Light and Crisp. And that's also something I want to talk about a little bit for Weibo is this has been a bot lane that has come into question as well because some of the consistency that was there for them in their Worlds runs and things like that hasn't necessarily been there. But we get a collapse here.
Coming. Yeah, Tarzan sniffed this out. Kanavi's still going to be down here too. Do they know that Tarzan's here? I'm not sure.
Not.
They don't know that Tarzan's here. He's skirted around vision. So, Tarzan, ever so good at this, spots him now.
The heal immediately coming out. Oh, Tarzan! He over-predicts it, but does end up getting the CC from the Arctic Assault, and first blood goes to Weibo. Now they're fighting tooth and nail over Missing, but Ruler's trying to take one back for him. Can't get it in the end, but does end up getting out to safety. Still has flash available to him. Missing put himself between a wall and a hard place. That handshake gonna bring Ruler right back. He's trying to fight him back, gets the barrier, gets the kill, the flash out to victory, but Xiaohu steps in and takes him down!
Weibo comes to play. Tarzan's early jungle pathing makes the difference yet again. Sniffs out the gang coming up towards bot side and really throws a curveball into them. I love how JDG were looking to play around the Karma to make sure that the early lane power of the Kalista Renata wasn't going to be as easy to get, but they throw it around that bot side, and honestly, this could determine so much in this game. Tarzan gets himself that level 4, gets out of vision. JDG have no idea he's here, and yeah, Tarzan ends up overplaying this a little. I think he's trying to, I think he's trying to get the flash Q just to predict whether Kanavi was going to flash or not. I think he was assuming that he wouldn't sue. Gets himself that kill all the same, and they walk away with a huge set of kills. Yeah, Tarzan does go down towards the end of this, but it ends up being, what, a 1 for 3 overall? Massively worthwhile for, of course, the side of Weibo.
I will say Missing's pathing there a little questionable. But definitely punished by Weibo in plenty as Yagao gets aggressed on in mid lane by Tarzan and Xiaohu. This duo is going to be enabled now super heavily. We do have Dragon up on the table, Grubs spawning on the other side, so the trade timing will be there if Kanavi wants to transition to the other side of the map.
Yeah, there's no summoners down in bot side, so a little harder to force the kill trades down there. The thing about Ezreal Karma, after you lose a play like that, is that you are meant to be this lane which locks people into lane. You force the enemy team to take worse backs than you do. You tend to get them to lose some CS as well. Now you've ended up losing those first kills, and you don't have any summoners, and you can't really stand a strong side on bot side now because, you know, the enemy jungler has won that individual battle too. JDG, the value from this Ezreal Karma is going to go down an awful lot. They picked the Karma for laning phase. That's not necessarily worked out. JDG need a fallback somehow.
Now you're like, oh yeah, check in after like 25 minutes. We'll be fine. It's fine. We'll make it there, right? Right? If it's JDG, your odds are probably
I'll call
likely.
you back. You know, I'll send you an email when I know.
Okay,
you know.
My people will get with your people.
Yeah. That's the one. So, Weibo, can they use this Kalista lead in the bot side to do something special? Because now they have themselves the kill lead, the CS lead, and they have themselves a lot of resources thrown in towards the bot side of the map in regards to vision and jungle attention. That is going to be oh so important. While all this has been happening, we've had Breathe alone on the top side matchup. Ults put in.
A little bit of a weird combo going off there as the death round was popped onto Kanavi. Breathe going to make it out alive there. Do end up getting his ulti out. Maybe try to follow it up, but don't end up doing so.
Really nice from Breathe. Just ignores the second part of the Strangled Thorns by going into the Realm of Death, because when you summon something on the Summoner's Rift, it doesn't come with you into the Realm of Death, so you don't get the plants and you don't get yourself Strangled Thorns at the back end of that too. Tarzan is level 6. There is a barrier coming just up on Ruler, but he doesn't have something like Cleanse in this lane either, and that does mean that with Breed surviving top side, seeing Kanavi, free reign for bot side to start snowballing from Weibo, and this is what we were wondering whether we'd see. Are we going to see the good version of Weibo? This seems like they're really coming to play.
Oh, they're overcommitting a little bit over here. Gonna get the handshake though, and it's not an overcommit if you get the kills. Light doesn't get the red damage. Oh no! Okay, well they don't get that one. They're gonna bring down Xiaohu. Maybe he's looking to clean up kills yet again. Just call him the Clean Meister.
I mean, they see him on this. Xiaohu doesn't have flash. Can he kill him? Can he stop the recall? They spot Ruler on the ward.
Oh, Ruler has barrier. He's going to wait till the last second. He pops it, but Xiaohu wants to commit, and Xiaohu commits indeed. 2-0 to start us off, and Weibo, they're making JDG look like chumps.
I can't believe this team just about slipped into the Ascension group, and now they're toying with JDG in the early game. Fantastic plays from Tarzan have really brought this team to life. He struggled to integrate into this team in the first part of groups, but I think he has more than met his, found his place within this at this time. And JDG, they fell prey to Weibo an awful lot last year. They've taken a bit of a breather from that this year so far, but it does feel like Weibo really have turned on the afterburners and showing exactly their upper level and how that can be.
And again, I came into this one, I love the way these two junglers think about the game and their pathing. We already saw Tarzan playing with a lot of the vision to come out clutch with that early play, but it was criminal that this man was not playing in spring. The fact that Weibo are able to pick him up, and yes, it's been through trials and tribulations. Weibo had a really rough early part to the split, but this is the group that matters. You made it to where it matters, and I think when you're able to take an early game at least against JDG, you have to be able to close it out as well.
Yeah, no, just qualifying is all you needed to do. There's no malarkey with seeding coming into this stage of the competition around Rumble stage. All you got to do is win now, and your sins are forgiven. And Weibo, they were...
and Weibo could do that. I mean, hey, they were World Finals last year. Just
somehow, some way, here comes the ults.
Somehow, life finds a way this time around. Maybe death not finding its way in here. JDG do make it out alive.
They do. It's an ult pulled out from Tarzan. You can see the danger. If one... There's no one that can tank out these Sejuani ultimates. It's going to be really, really difficult as the game goes on. You don't have any cleanses, and of course now with missing, falling behind in lane alongside Ruler, it also means the Karma gets less gold, which means that you're not going to get yourself a timely Mikhail's or something like that. It's going to take a lot longer to get towards that important item, which you have to imagine will be coming out from missing at some point. Weibo, now is really the time for you to start throwing out your ultimates, using the Kalista Renata in this early game, and make sure that the Sejuani can start accelerating the game from beyond what really the Zyra can match before they reach that 1-2 items and they bring home that extra damage threat.
Tarzan has completed convergence here as well, so you're going to have that early spike there. Bot lane be almost all the plates going to Weibo here. Not just yet, though. But this is where I want to start talking about the entrances, because there is about a 20 CS lead for Kanavi. He is just farming his life away. He wants to be around these objectives and things like that. Tarzan a little bit behind, but he has the kind of go buttons for Weibo to make entrances into these fights and that tempo that they really can play around easier. Yeah,
and you know, a lot of kind of like playing around those team fights, it feels like it is really in the hands of Weibo for a while now, and particularly with I think Breathe in an even lane matchup, the neutral lane versus the Skarner is going to get more valuable as the game goes on too in a lot of ways. I think that Skarner can really struggle against this champion. He is going to be potentially dove, but it is a Mordecai. You can reduce this down to a 1v1. Likely Breathe is going to get a load of poke thrown onto him, but he can just use that ultimate potentially to stop himself from dying, at least in the short term.
I will say, you can take some time, Nymeara. Go ahead and close your windows, because Grubageddon is upon us. JDG have gotten all 6 grubs. So you can take some time. Make sure you're safe. I already got mine all locked down. We're good to go.
Yeah, get your grub spray. Whatever it is.
Yeah, make sure. Whatever saves you from Grubageddon. I don't know. I haven't done the math.
You can get like the little sticky tape you put in as well to catch them as they go through it. Look, anything you got is going to help at this point. You could get like that. You need it all at this point, folks. Is at least Ruler and missing, they're able to get into that top side and get some plates from top side. It's kind of bare minimum. They are already 2,000 gold behind what's happened in this bot side. Light took all of the plates towards bot side and gets himself very far ahead of the game. Add his 1 item spike close to his 2nd item beyond this point. Ruler and missing, they picked this lane for early game. The early game has not worked out well for them. It is going to be an uphill battle beyond this point. As long as Weibo can continue to find ways to force plays and stay ahead of the game, I think they're very, very happy. They have themselves 2 early dragons on a very good timing. It's a Mountain Soul. There were a lot of memes about Tarzan not getting very many dragons towards the end of the year and then coming into this year as well, as he came back into a roster at the start of summer. They've got really good control over this now, and that could potentially help them close out this game should they get towards an early Soul point.
Question still lingers. Will it be enough to take down the Titans of JDG? Impale into mid lane. Xiaohu has nothing left to give, but he will give his life over to Ruler.
That's quite greedy from Xiaohu. Late Valkyrie doesn't flash away from anything either. Once you get hit by the Ixtal's impact, you're effectively dead. But Xiaohu, maybe thinking that if he flashes away, Xia would just flash impale him all the same. Over pushes, goes down. That is something for JDG. Also allows Kanavi to get a camp steal in on the other side too.
He's literally like halfway across the map from the camp, still taking it. Love that. Love that for him. Oh, my goodness. But that's also some of the understood current, because I love the points we've been really highlighting on Weibo, but the major thing that you said that stood out to me is they need to keep pushing, because JDG are going to be a ridiculous objective teamfight composition. We see Sheer kicking it off here onto Xiaohu.
Not great positioning from Xiaohu. I almost wonder if he could have gone into the blue side jungle instead of kind of running towards river. Either way, I don't think he quite understood how much danger is in, and he goes down for it. Does mean that Yagao is now ahead in the individual matchup, despite Xiaohu taking some decent early trades in lane. will need to make sure that he doesn't have too many more of those missed positions. Otherwise, you allow JDG well and truly back into this game. They have a very long-range composition. They have a lot of damage because they have the Zyra compared to the Sejuani. You have to cut through a bit more beef because, of course, the Mordekaiser and the Sejuani are going to be very, very tanky. But still, Weibo, they don't really want to be sitting on their laurels if they can help it. You do have some big ultimates back up. Maybe they can force something onto Sheer here.
Look at this.
Oh, how fair is that? How fair is that? Come on.
He's a tunneling scorpion, okay? They do that. Do you not know how the wild works?
He will be tunneling his way into the ban list at some point. I mean, look, they nerfed this champion. Doesn't really change anything. Teleporting onto the minion. If they can kill the tower, Breathe will probably be dying.
Yeah, Breathe gonna pop the Death Realm there. Doesn't end up getting turret. Breathe knocked back. Pops out to 4 members of JDG just surrounding him. They will end up be giving this one for the Rift Herald, though.
Rift Herald and top lane out of turret also means they potentially lose some chip damage on mid lane turret. Chris, there's no cleanser on Ruler. He's used his E.
Chris needs to hit a handshake, see if the Arcane Shift comes through. It's the Flash instead.
So, it's going to be the flash away from Ruler, and then he has nothing left to escape.
Oh, no! Tarzan comes out clutch again, and mid lane is just a snowball from hell here, Nymeara.
That is. So, top lane gone. Mid lane going to go down as well. Weibo with no grub still take that tower. They have the Herald to use on an inner turret now at some point as well. So, while JDG do get themselves an opening on the bot side, and they end up killing Breathe, they lose a fair amount across the map, and the Herald is still yet to be used. So Weibo still fairly happy with the cross map, all things said and done. The only thing really left on the table is to see whether Breathe can get himself to more important breakpoints and not just be left alone on the weak side. Couldn't quite survive that last time.
Do end up getting the reset there from Tarzan. He's still very far behind Kanavi, 30 CS now in terms of the clear speed that Kanavi brings to the table. It's huge. But also, another dragon is coming up in sub a minute. Weibo with actually pretty nicely timed resets, it seems like, are going to be able to contest for a sole point at about 17 minutes in the game.
So I think we're just going to have the, we're going to just about have the Sejuani ult coming back up that, importantly so. There's a lot of flashes available in Weibo. No flash, no barrier for Ruler. Ruler doesn't have the best item. Well, I mean, he has the Trifle, so he does have a decent item spec, so we'll take that one back. But still, JDG needs to be very, very careful. They don't have a Mikhails, they don't have cleanses. Whoever Tarzan hits in a 5v5 scenario is likely going to go down. There's very good follow-up from the side of Weibo. Even Crisp has Flash and the Kalista ult too. I think Weibo is spoiling for this next big fight in the game. And I think that'll be the point where JDG need to really be very, very careful. They might even have to give up this dragon, knowing that it's not the soul, even though it's soul point. I don't think they have the items or the summoner spells right now to really contest this in a healthy location. They might just turn up anyway and try and use their poke, but it's risky.
I was going to say, do we ever back down in the LPL? No, we don't. There's the back actually trying to be pulled out by Xiaohu, who has no mana. They both have TP, but right now we're looking at a 4v4 on the bottom side of the map. Breathe is coming on a flank. Crisp goes for the handshake, or at least the combo there too. Gets Ruler. Stranglethorn used. A little bit sporadic by JDG as both junglers trade their ultimates. We got TP on the back end here. That's going to be Xiaohu joining the fight to try to get some of this poke down. Sheer in the Death Realm. Not going to go down, but does go down immediately afterwards. True Shot Barrage is popped there in the end. The Rift Herald also gets summoned in the middle of all that fighting. Breathe is just 1v1ing missing over here. He's going to flash over the wall and try to get to safety. A little bit of chaos breeds for Weibo's victories.
Yeah, so JDG, they do lose the one, but they end up taking so much damage, well, giving out so much damage to the other side that they will be able to at least survive without Weibo going towards the dragon itself. Ruler, I thought he was dead to rights at the start of that. Makes it out because Weibo don't quite manage to get the follow-up damage. Then Kanavi had a fantastic set of peel abilities to make sure his carries could live. And Weibo, in a moment where we thought it was going to be a bit of a slam dunk, felt like they had the right items and the right cooldowns available, couldn't quite land themselves that first kill. Watch this right now. See that it's Ruler who ends up getting caught as missing flashes away. Look how much CC goes onto him, but he somehow gets the Arcane Shift midway through the CC chain, and the CC can't lock him in place long enough for him to die. Kanavi doing a hell of a lot of work too. While all this is happening though, Breathe, we're starting to see the problems of the Mordekaiser. If you have a split fight, he will just solo someone out on the side of it. I think that way, but even with all of this though, they'll probably consider this worse than what they expected. JDG showing exactly what they can do in the clutch team fights.
little things going both ways, right? You see some of the poke, some of that instant burst damage can be turned around by JDG, but you also see what happens when Breathe takes away JDG's only real front line, and it becomes a lot more difficult to kind of micromanage the fights itself. We are getting second items now. Light having the Guinsu's pretty huge as he goes back onto the map, but Yagao has had constant side lane pressure and has a pretty massive CS differential over Xiaohu as well.
This is something which JDG have done an awful lot. If I were to say, if I were going to point out the one big thing which LPL has done as a macro sense for the last couple of years, it has been throwing your mid laner into a side lane, getting gold out of side lane turrets and waves. It's a pretty common thing, but LPL has really gone towards that. They've drafted compositions towards that before. And I think it's also why we've adapted so well to 6 grubs plus Tristana kind of meta, because the LPL's always been confident at that. They did the same thing with Azir with Nash's Tooth in the side lane last year as well. Yagao has been carrying very effectively for his team when he's been able to get that gold. He has the only gold lead on his team individually. He has himself 2 items. He's on a Tristana with Grubageddon behind him. The Zerg Rush well and truly alive here. I think JDG will once again have to rely on their mid laner, who has been a big carry for them in summer.
They're still trying to do the meatball dance here as well, because that is where their strength is. Arctic Assault is going to go wide. A double impale does come through, though. Sheer getting chunked out by his own team. And Light ends up claiming the kill there. And now one body down means JDG can't really fight. And some of that proactivity really working out for Weibo here. They want to go back in for a fight.
Yeah, you can see that they managed to survive that turret push. Here comes the
call.
Glyster ults.
Yeah, not able to get the distance, but Tarzan goes for the flash play, missing. Just completely caught out there as well. And Breathe will claim that one freely. Weibo might overlook to the Baron, but not going to overcommit there this time.
Yeah, they get themselves a kill. It's quite a lot invested for that, but it does mean that JDG maybe can't stick around and push down that mid lane out a turret. The next wave is a long way coming off. So yeah, that will save the mid lane turret and the last bit of siege through here. I'm loving the way that Breathe is approaching the side of these team fights. We've seen this earlier in the day from our first series. We saw that Xiaohu had some of these flanking Camille's and Jax's. Feels like LPL top laners, one of the big things that they're all showcasing is just being able to approach the side of the fight and forcing Yagao to flash out here from so many things. I also think that Chris, a player who's had a lot of criticism leveled towards him on the Renata, has shown himself some big ultimates already in this game. Weibo continuing to show exactly what this team competition can do when it has been proactive and ahead of the game. JDG, they're typically very good at this point of the game, looking for that first big fight. Weibo are not giving it easily to them.
But that's also the shocker. Like, everybody were Weibo doubters coming into this one. They barely made it into this group nonetheless. And here they are, taking JDG to task. We asked them to be proactive. We asked them to keep putting the pedal to the metal, and they're consistently keeping a 2,000 to 3,000 gold lead over a team that we've seen is so dominant so far.
You know what's the real sad thing about this is that Weibo have had a really good early game. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing for them. I still can't believe that I'll see it for more than one game in a row. The next game, things can completely flip apart as Shear's over-engaged into Breathe.
He has. Now Xiaohu going to commit to it as he comes out of the death realm. He realizes there's 2 enemy bodies there. He will end up getting traded down for that mid turret. Not going to be too much there, though.
Yeah, I think when we looked through to this draft, we did say, oh, blind picking that Skada could give Breathe a window to really do some damage in this game, and he has absolutely done that. 2 items now with the Riftmaker on top of the Rylai's. Weibo, they've managed to dismantle this new top laner for JDG, Sheer. We were wondering whether he'd be starting or over Flandre. It feels like they were trying to go for a sword and shield approach. If Sheer is the sword, he has been blunted very effectively by both draft and play by Weibo.
And I would say that this might be, one of the first times we're really seeing a top lane difference here for JDG, where Sheer has stepped in pretty dominantly for most of the games that he's been able to play. So we do see second items completed for JDG across the board. Is that going to give them enough gas in the tank to take fights or even sustain fights? I don't think so. As Handshake comes in on a ruler, he has flash, he has barrier, he is perfectly fine. As now that hostile takeover used, the impale from Sheer bringing him back to the team, but he might not be able to take him down fast enough. Stranglethorn goes down. Both top laners traded immediately as now Yagao jumps his way out. Not going to use the resets easily here, but now that poke damage is coming in. Clutch Kanavi, the general from the front line, the explosive charge, it's enough. They're going to get the resets now. JDG, they knew that they were a beast lying in wait, and that beast is roaring to life here 23.5 minutes in.
Weibo just don't have the damage and they can't close down who they want to. Xiaohu's over the wall. He has flash. He has good damage. He has a big one. in the inventory as well. If they can wait long enough, Breathe can TP back in, but Xiaohu's got to live.
Yagao sidesteps it, able to get push out on Xiaohu. That'll be the Dragon's soul denied. A game that was going so holistically in favor of Weibo has now been cut down to size. A 3,000 gold lead dwindled down to 1.
All right, so Weibo, we said they needed to be ahead of the game. They barely are now, only 1,000 gold. A couple of dragons definitely help in terms of those extra stats, but as you were saying just before this, hey, 2 votes for JDG. Does that change anything? Well, apparently it does, particularly the big damage coming in from JDG stays alive. The first combo didn't end up quite hitting onto Rilla, or at least it did, but he had the Mikhails. We talked about how important that is. Missing doesn't have it now, though.
Oh, that's a lot of damage in a short amount of time. Not able to get the peel out of that one. Blastcone going to cause a little bit of chaos, but Sheer will shortly join his teammate in that gray screen here. Light claiming that one now. Pings onto the Baron here by Weibo.
Last fight, you could see that the Mikhails and the disengaged play won out for JDG. They didn't have the Mikhails, missing the first person caught. JDG can't get their damage down. Weibo fail in the mid lane, they don't get themselves the soul, but they pick out the enemy support and they get themselves the Baron. Weibo back onto the lead.
God, it just goes like a rubber band back and forth. Maybe a yo-yo is a little bit more of a better analogy. But from a 1K lead back to a 3K lead, Yagao will end up taking a tier 2 in the bottom side, so JDG still trying to trade to some extent. But you start seeing if items are going to be coming online, if we are going to get to these big team fights, I think JDG are just on par.
Well, it really does depend on who gets caught at first missing. You know, he doesn't have himself the cleanse right there. I think it's still on cooldown from that mid lane. At the same time, Sheer once again caught out by Breathe. Breathe has been monstering this individual match.
Yeah,
yes, Breathe has
absolutely.
died occasionally in the 1vx scenarios where multiple people kind of go down onto him. But honestly, this guy has been so dominant. I think Breathe has been one of the more consistent members. I say that, he might be in a 1vx scenario again, but he does have himself a good amount of tank. And it is just the one person, and it'd be Kanavi over there. Breathe. Oh, wait, he spots him. Can't quite get himself that kill.
That would have been so dicey. Kanavi's heart probably jumping in his throat there, as we don't see anything come of it here, but they are trying to push on this bottom side. They still have Baron for another 2 minutes as well. They'll be looking at these tier 2 towers, easily cleaned up by Weibo.
And no grubs needed. Weibo walking through onto the other side of the map. JDG, what is the plan now? They win when they can escape the initial engage with the Mikhails and they can start kiting back using the extra range that they have. It's really hard to play if they lose someone first, though, and it's going to happen again.
Takeover. They do not give you a moment of reprieve. They will jump on you every second they get. It's a traded kill, 1-for-1, though. And now the poke, the follow-through. This is where JDG thrive. Breathe is going to be taken out, and he's not able to be bailed out this time. That rocket jump is not going to give that distance separation there, but JDG actually come alive.
They do somehow. Kalista just gets exploded midway through that fight. Light must have just been absolutely dunked on by Kanavi's plants and the rest of the team following up. JDG, they lose one at the start, but again, if you don't finish the team fight with your opening salvo from Weibo, the range and the follow-up from JDG is really powerful. Karma doesn't really give you that much, but does give you the ability to chase down with the extra shields. And the kind of chase potential from that. Look at this again. You're going straight in. You're baiting out that Mikhails. It does get rid of that Sejuani ultimate. Still gets hit, though. What happens to Kalista all the way through this? He ends up jumping into the front line and gets hit by absolutely everything. Not going to lie, Light's positioning there was pretty bad. He ends up losing himself his life and losing his team there. The whole fight towards that bot side. Light really overstepping.
No wonder we had to second check ourselves, because we didn't think that Light would step up that far in the end. Now Weibo, though, on the back end of it, looking for those picks we've known them so well for. Kanavi tanking up a storm, though, and missing with the shields comes in clutch.
I think Tarzan's largely been very on point with the Sejuani ultimates. I think he's become a leader for this team. I've loved how Tarzan's played throughout this game, but it's not all clean combos. Dragon coming up in a minute. The Sejuani ultimate should just be back up again, I think, by that point, with some of the extra cooldown reduction brought up by Tarzan. But they would have loved to get themselves jungler off the field just for a little bit to make sure their setup for the objective was just that little bit more potent. JDG, they know they can't give up this dragon. They are looking for a big team fight. Weibo just need one more fight to seal this game. But JDG, they have the items now, and they're playing around their ranges so effectively, they could just win it out off of one big team fight.
They definitely could. And I think taking a little bit of stock of how JDG can approach a lot of these Kanavis, having a ton of damage underlying all of the team fight here. And I think it's rightfully so that we put such a heavy focus on Kanavi Tarzan. The Griffin bros that have come over to the LPL, obviously a lot longer of a stint from Tarzan, but these are the moments that matter. A Dragon Soul on the line for Weibo, and JDG are going to try to contest.
Breathe will be spotted if he flanks a JDG. They can't let this go over. It's against the Rend. This is really difficult.
Oh, it's so difficult. Kanavi's getting CC'd down. He's going to be brought into the death realm, and he can't do it. Tarzan's going to take the soul. Now they're going forward. Tarzan overextends a little bit, but Light is hop-skipping his way to a potential victory. Kanavi is down. Now Sheer, he's dragged down as well. The damage is not going to be enough. Ruler is trying his damn heart out, man, but they're chasing him down. Tarzan able to survive with just a sliver of health. Luckily, Ruler is able to arcane shift his way to distance. So much damage done. But there's the TP to bot lane for Weibo, and they're going to try to stop the backs.
Yeah, they're going to try to. Ruler, can he get out of this? I think he can. I don't know if whether Weibo will spot this out in time. Missing will die. It will just be Ruler defending the base, and he might just be under threat from the mountain sold up solo laners of Weibo. Need to be careful. It looks like it's just inhib and out as it stands.
Missing slowly but surely. Gonna make it out alive. They do lose that bot inhib, but not too bad for JDG on what could have happened, it feels like. But that soul secured for Weibo makes it a lot more difficult for all this poke from Ruler to really stick.
Ruler really, really tried at that last fight. Just about makes it out alive. Has himself that Shojin as third item. Just look how much damage Ruler does across this team fight. Sadly, it doesn't matter. Both top laners tried to stop the engage coming, or the smite fight coming through. You can't end up Mikhailsing Kanavi out of the Mordekaiser ult anymore. You can see that was put onto him, maybe just missing, panicking, just thinking some CC was going to hit him. He gets put into the Realm of Death all the same. Smite goes over. But look how much damage Ruler is putting through this. Very nearly cleans up a couple of kills. Only just about gets out with his life as well.
And Xiaohu having a hell of a step up there in that fight as well. Honestly, some question marks early from him on the Corki, but now sitting at 6-1, I think there are no more questions. He will be packing the punch for Weibo as they start up the Baron.
I don't think there's really any contest coming through here. Kanavi is walking out from base, so he won't be there for a smite still. You're against the Rend. Really does feel like JDG, they've lost their window now. The amount of soul is through. The ability to force the engages is very, very high, and Tarzan is so tanky at 3 items with a mountain soul, with the double mountain dragons giving percent resist increases as well. I think JDG, they might just have run out of damage. Now that soul's come through.
And Tarzan leading from the front as known. They will try to take this tier 2 tower easily in top side of the map. Yagao is trying to get as much of a push in bot side before he has to TP to defend. He is going to pull that trigger here, so the defense is standing strong. 2.5 minutes left on the Baron buff, though.
And that will probably be enough to at least crack an extra inhibitor. JDG, they don't have great engage options. This is one of the problems. They have, what, a long-range route from Kanavi. It's slim pickings of that. Sheer can occasionally get himself into a good position, but he's so far down in this individual matchup, and here comes Tarzan.
They just go straight onto Sheer, as why not, I guess. But that is a big ulti down, at least the go button for Weibo, so they don't want to get caught on the back end like we've seen them getting poked down time and time again. Xiaohu is waiting on the edge with a Valkyrie to potentially get a play on the Ruler. Nothing else going to come of it. Crisp is on a bit of a flank here on the other side.
He has flash too. If he can flash over the wall, potentially go for that ult flash combo. There's only one Mikhail's, only one person will be able to survive through that. Him. Yeah, he's going to come out of Fog of War. Here it comes!
He did it. He was the one to bring it into the league, and he's going to pull it off here yet again. The Flash Renata hostile takeover. They do end up getting rebuffed, but they take the turret itself. Now Yagao, he's starting to get those resets going here for himself. Chris going to be in a lot of trouble. He's going to get grasped, though, and Fate's call will get Chris to safety.
Man, Yagao is still really scary on this Tristana, but can't quite get the damage down. Weibo, they don't manage to get that first kill, but they do manage to get that turret, which ends up giving that open inhibitor. That will pretty much be the end of this Baron buff push all the same. So JDG somehow escaped with multiple inhibitors alive, only the one falling. and they will survive another day. They do have really big damage on Yagao. I feel like a lot of this game all comes down to this Tristana now, though, because Ezreal is pretty good at putting out damage. If you hit everything, it's quite unreliable, and you're still not as good at killing tanks as this Tristana. Level 18, maximum rank of that draw or bead passive, so it's the maximum range on that one. Maybe, just maybe, Yagao can be the carriage JDG need. It's quite a hard ask, though, against so many tank stats.
Yeah, 4.5 items. You're going to have to use this strongly, but also love to see the GA completed for Light. He's going with a lot of utility in his build right now because he realizes he's kind of the lifeline for Crisp as well. So I'm wanting to make sure that there's some extra strength in that regard. But I think that's where I want to take perspective of how JDG can win these, because we know how Weibo win these fights. They just pull the trigger and all of a sudden you're dead. But JDG need a lot of sustained timing in these fights, and they're going to have an Elder in less than a minute to fight over.
Are we going to get ourselves another Elder flip? 3 games of our Nirvana series yesterday had 3 Elder flips. So, yeah, we had an awful lot of that yesterday. We weren't necessarily expecting it out of a Ascension matchup here between JDG and Weibo, but it's the nature of Weibo. It's the nature of this matchup in some ways that it just is so much closer than you expect, despite Weibo's assumed level of form and JDG's assumed level of form on the other side. 30 seconds till Dragon. Weibo starving at some of that vision, and they do have themselves, again, those really big item breakpoints which you were talking about. You can also see the Mountain Assault starting to deny the poke coming in from Zyra as well. That extra chip damage really not getting through the Mountain Shield.
Not able to get the burn damage through that either at this point. And Ruler really wishing he had 4 items now, but Dragon is spawning. This feels like a do-or-die moment for JDG as they move in. They've got to get some vision here, but Weibo want to pull the trigger in front of the pit here potentially.
Can Sheer get himself a big impale? I think that might just be what they need. Sheer's walking up, he's tanking for now. Dragon's going down.
They're going to try to go on a breathe. Impale misses. That's a big cooldown. Kanavi, he needs to be the one. It's been a revenge split. Can he get it? He's going to go over the wall here soon. It is going to be taken by Yagao of all people. They will end up getting the 1 kill in trade to, and JDG, they've just thrown this game for a loop.
Oh my word, Breathe flashes forward, tries to get Kanavi into the realm of death and can't manage it. Kanavi throws down the strangle forms to give himself a red carpet to go towards the dragon, and he's not even needed. It's Yagao that gets it somehow. I need a slow-mo replay to see exactly what happens. Breathe doesn't get impaled. See that the rend is on one side as well. How does this go through? The flash forward from Breathe tries to get onto Kanavi, doesn't manage it.
Charge.
And the explosive charge on the Mordekaiser steals the Elder. Explosive doesn't do it justice. Yagao, hero play.
If you don't love this league, there is something wrong with you. My God, what a play. And JDG, they come away with an even fight now, having the Elder for another minute and a half. They can try to push this up into permanent damage against Weibo.
I can't believe the amount of drama that we're seeing with this. Breathe gets punted back after flashing forward, trying to deny the jungler. Jungler wasn't the person you need to be worried about. It's that carry in the mid lane. Yagao has been so stalwart in summer. Can it be enough to see this out? Here comes the ults. Mikhail's immediately through. Tarzan starting to struggle to use his ult on cooldown before that Mikhail's comes back up, especially against that Elder. JDG taking a bit of the map back.
The push with Grubageddon, it's so deadly. They don't even need the minions. They've got the mites there to help out as well, and they're just outright taking an inhib tower in mid lane.
So the range comes through. Even with the Mountain Soul, the range and the burn being put through from the Elder is really, really powerful. It's going to fall off in 40 seconds. That's a long time to defend the base, though.
Hostile takeover comes through. They got to try to defend the minions. They aren't able to do so. So Baron falling at least up now maybe is the follow-up for JDG if they want to pull back onto it. They still have this Elder for 30 seconds.
They won't be able to keep onto it for that long. I think by the time they're on the Baron, Elder should have fallen off.
So
however, Weibo, do they have teleport options? They have one on top side. I don't think Weibo are going to be able to get hit just in time. It's going to burn down just at the end of that Elder, so they time it just about right. JDG, inhib, Baron, and out. They get themselves a safe reset too. Now we are truly into the late game.
I want to try to catch the stragglers, but that is not what you want to hear. Those words are like nails on a chalkboard if you're going against JDG, because they are the ones to put you to bed as time goes on. They are the ones that can absolutely pull you apart in these team fights, and they have the comp to do so now.
So, JDG, they have themselves big items. Full build Yagao. Ruler almost got himself to his last item as well, has a Shojin and a Serildis, so he has much more ability to kill the tanks than he did before. His individual damage has gone through the roof. On the other side though, it's not like Weibo don't have a load of damage, a load of tanks. Breathe, if he gets someone into the realm of death, is probably just going to outright kill them. I don't think many people can survive that. Even the AD carries from JDG need to be so careful. So Weibo, I think they're relying on Breathe to take someone out of the equation, and I think that particularly Tarzan needs to find himself a big target.
It's a 4v5. They're going to try to take the play here for Weibo. They will get stopped by the Stranglethorn, but Breathe has come in for the flank. He's going to pop the Realm of Death on a Ruler. Ruler's locked down. JDG are going to have to stick this fight. Yagao is running over to try to be the saving grace. Hostile takeover across two. And Weibo, they've got a front to back that they've dreamed of. They take Sheer down. They're not going to move any more forward, but Ruler is still waiting to try to pick people off on the back end. Weibo do strike true.
Insane kiting from Ruler. I thought he was 100% dead. Gets the Arcane Shift just as the ult was being cast by Mordekaiser, but it's not enough. I thought that would have been Mordekaiser just killing him straight out. He gets the cooldowns back, gets to shift over the wall again, and then while he's in the Realm of Death, the Renata ult can't hit him. He's in another space entirely. He's in an alternate dimension. Weibo can't quite get themselves that explosive fight that they've been looking for time after time. And you know what? I thought this Karma was going to be like, you know, just the laning phase pick. This Mikhails has really blunted Weibo in the late game around what they want to do with that Sejuani ultimate. And Weibo, they have been really held to account by JDG. Their team fighting has been so good in the mid and late game.
If Ruler is going to get that full item here, needs to get that completed before the next big fight. We have another Elder Dragon, about 1:15. Big thing is, though, Xiaohu and Light, they're on full build. Mercurial Scimitar is completed for Light as well. Still a little bit left on this Baron buff, but not much to give. We're going to take a look at the setup around this Elder.
Tarzan walking forwards. Remember, they still have the Mountain Salt. Really does help them in regards to the front line, but they just can't stay in range. Again, you get all this damage to Tarzan. Cool. He has a Warmox. He has the Mountain Salt. You're not bursting him. He's going to regen up back up to full. All JDG are doing is holding their vision line at this point and trying to push in some wards across the map. JDG, it's really hard for them to get themselves that meaningful poke against that Mountain Soul. This is such an interesting late game. Really got to see how Weibo or JDG can burst someone out from full at the start of a fight. If that happens, I think the rest of the fight goes with it. It's really hard to do that, though, with so much range on one side and so much tank and shielding on the other.
All right, full build for Ruler completed. He will have the Bloodthirster. Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. He has sent the True Shot Barrage topside to try to clear that one. It's not going to be up for a little bit. He will get that cooldown down in the team fight, though.
Yeah, so as long as he gets the target to hit with Qs, he'll be able to regen that one up really quickly. Elder spawning right now. The Zyra plants. Yeah, Xiaohu's taking team red buff. That's the important thing. It's for the entire team. He's going to get back to this in time. It does mean that Weibo can't play around the Rend, though. JDG, they get to set up again. They have Mikhails. They have important flashes. This should be it. Where's the big engage coming from?
Tarzan and Kanavi, two of the biggest brains in the LPL in the jungle sphere. We'll see them go toe-to-toe here. They're getting locked down. It's going to be Tarzan that comes out big. Elder is taken, so they have that fight potential. Kanavi already taken down. The clap of the Elder wings starting to come alive here. They will end up leaving Breathe out. TP in mid lane right now by Xiaohu. He wants to try to finish the game. Multiples coming through from JDG to try to defend in time.
This won't even be the game. So it's going to be, what, 1-for-1 in terms of kills? Ruler's caught out. He doesn't have empowered recourse. He does have a lot of slippery ability to get away from this, but Tarzan has vision on him.
He's going to need to pull his most famous 007 moment here. That Elder Dragon's going to make it a lot harder, and Chris coming over the edge. They will get that shutdown over onto Ruler. Now they'll push in mid lane as well.
Oh no, that is disaster for JDG. Somehow, Ruler gets kind of left out to dry around the Elder as the teleports go back to base. Weibo go hunting for just one inhib, and then also Ruler. They kill the AD carry, and they march in with a numbers advantage.
It's been Weibo's all along, but JDG, they gave them a run for their money. They fought them here now. They're going to try to defend. Sheer getting low. The Elder Dragon wings are flapping once again, and the Dragons have taken over. Weibo, they won't be able to finish here. JDG with Kanavi and Yagao in tow will defend, but Weibo are waiting for another wave. They're going to get a TP in for Breathe.
They're going to have to, but the wave clear is going to be really significant from JDG. There's no Baron buff, remember? The minions still have to stay alive.
Light moving forward. He's going to cleanse. Hostile takeover moves over. Is going to tag Yagao. Xiaohu getting low. Chris immediately just takes down Kanavi there. Now Tarzan moving forward, and JDG, they're on their last breaths. Who would have thunk that Weibo will deliver only the second game loss to JDG of this entire split? And look at that smile. Weibo come out represent.
It is such a fool's errand trying to predict Weibo. They are such a good team and managing to punch up in the unexpected matches. This team that barely scraped through into the Ascension group takes a game off of JDG, and they looked fantastic doing it. Great early game. Some really good plays around their big team fights too. I want to see this for more than one game in a row, but if this is the upper level which they're bringing, Weibo might just be back in the way that we knew them. They can always punch up at the most unexpected moments.
Man, it's just a treat to watch Tarzan and Kanavi go to work. There were such bright moments for both of them in this one. I look forward to seeing what the teams have to offer for game number 2. We're going to step away for a short little break and rest a little bit.